So as we're coming to the mat, we're going to come down to our backs, bring the soles of the feet together, open up the knees. You can let your hands just rest anywhere on the body that feels right. We'll take a second to drop in, take an inventory of how you're feeling today, and just start to observe the breath, the body, physical body, the emotional body, the intellectual body, and the spiritual body. So we just had the second new moon in Aries, which is pretty rare. So we are focusing today's practice on transformation and resilience. So we just want to bring the intention to this practice today of being more resilient overall, anywhere, everywhere in life. And if you want to have a mantra for today's practice, you can think of one now. Or you can just use the mantra, I can change direction at any time. So we want to focus on adapting to change, being more resilient through times of change. And looking for opportunities for transformation during times of change. So we're also in fiery Aries season, so we're going to cater to the Rajas a little bit during this practice. Which just means that we will be investing that kinetic energy and finding some movement and fluidity and movement through the exercise. So take this time just to connect with the breath, get grounded on your mat. Remember what brought you to the mat today and try to incorporate that intention throughout the practice as well. So as we start connecting with the body and dropping in, we're just going to open up the palms toward the ceiling, maybe walk the shoulder blades toward one another, just underneath the heart space. Pulling the shoulders back toward the floor, opening up the chest, staying nice and long through the neck. And then we're going to pull the soles of the feet away from each other about a foot. You're going to stay on the outside edges of your feet. And then staying connected with your breath, on your next breath cycle, you're going to press the hips up toward the ceiling and then bring the knees toward one another to roll onto the soles of the feet. So you come into a bridge pose. Once you're here, you can adjust your shoulder blades to make sure you're comfortable in this position and press the hips just a little bit higher. And then we're going to connect with the breath and make that one fluid motion. So on your next exhale, we'll slowly lower down to the mat. Let the knees fall apart. Inhale, rolling onto the soles of the feet, pressing the hips toward the ceiling, bringing the knees together. And just syncing up with your natural breath, finding fluidity in that movement. And focusing on the strength you're building in the lower body and the low back. challenge you to seek new sensations with every breath, with every pose. Take a couple more cycles of breath just to move through this fluid butterfly to hip bridge movement. And next time your hips are pressed up toward the ceiling, just squeeze and lift, hold there. Adjust your shoulder blades, head and neck. Shoulders should be nice and relaxed. Driving through the heels, pressing into your mat. Feeling those muscles engage a little bit, that fiery rajas. Remembering we're here to embrace change and transformation. Really squeeze the knees in toward one another, and then slowly, gently release down to the mat. From here, we'll just take a quick recline pigeon pose. So you can start by crossing that left ankle over the right knee. Use your hands if you need to adjust. You can slide that right heel in a little closer if you want. Maybe start by pressing into that left inner thigh. And then finding your pigeon or any variation therein when you're ready. You can gently rock left to right if it feels good. Just connecting with the body, listening to the body. When you're ready, we'll gently release and switch sides. Take your time getting there, building up slowly, listening to the signals that your body is sending you. Notice if one side is very different from the other. Just observing. Release that left shin, left heel when you're ready and unravel. We'll tuck the knees into the chest, squeeze them in, maybe rock side to side, and then we're going to roll up to sitting. So I'll turn to face you, but you don't need to. Just find your cross-legged seat wherever is comfortable for you. Focus on getting long through the spine, really pulling the spine up and out from the waist, keeping shoulders back, chest open. Finding that nice long posture from the crown of your head to the tip of your tail. From here, we're just going to connect with the breath. Maybe take a mudra with the hands if you want to. Feel connected. And really start to deepen the breath. Now we'll incorporate some movement with the arms, taking up space. So on your next inhale, you're going to open up the chest, pull the shoulders back, lift the chest, lift the chin. And exhale, bring the elbows together, pressing through the thoracic spine, curling the ribs inward. Just syncing up with your breath for 2 breath cycles. So move nice and slowly, mindfully. Remember, you're seeking new sensations with every breath. Take one more opening here, pulling the elbows back, the backs of the palms back. And then this time when you come together, we're going to come into eagle arms. So bring that right arm under the left. Take a bind with the lower arms. On your inhale, lift the elbows, big inhale. And then on your exhale, just curl the elbows inward toward the ribs. Ribs are curling in toward the spine. Stay here for a few breaths, just feeling that expansion and contraction. Staying focused on the breath. Growing bigger on every inhale, letting something go on every exhale. Take another cycle of breath. And on your next inhale, we'll open up again and unravel just to switch that bind. So open up the arms, pull the elbows back, and then find your bind again, this time with the left arm under the right. Lifting the elbows up toward the ceiling, toward the sky, and then exhaling, curling inward. Noticing what you feel, using the breath to seek new sensations and to relax a little deeper. On your next inhale, curl back up, open up again, getting really wide. And then we'll come forward onto all fours. Center yourself on the mat. We'll start with a little cat-cow as usual. Palms under the shoulders, knees are under the hips. Toes are extended. Find your breath. Inhale, drop the belly, curl the tailbone up, lift the gaze. Exhale, bringing those low ribs inward to meet the back body, pressing through the thoracic spine, seeking those new sensations as you sync up with the breath. Really focus on the power of your breath in these poses. Take one more cycle of breath. Move at your own pace. And come back to a neutral tabletop position when you're ready. Once there, we'll curl the right toes under and extend that right leg out long. So you're on the ball of the right foot. We'll just gently rock back and forth across the ball of the foot, just noticing what you feel. Try to press all 5 toes into the mat. So try to notice that connection with each toe. And if you need to use your hand to make that adjustment, feel free to do so. And here we're going to slide that right foot all the way over to the left. Look back over your left shoulder at it. And then if you want, you can stay here and just look over your left shoulder at that left foot. Feel that connection through the right side body. You can also walk the hands over to the left a little bit and really feel that connection in the right side body by pressing that right hip outward toward the right side. So find your feel-good spot. Take a couple cycles of breath here. When you're ready, we'll gently walk back through center, bringing the palms back under the shoulders. We're going to slide that right leg back in line with that right hip, right side body. And then we're going to gently keep that right leg extended. We're going to lift the left arm straight up ahead, and you can lift your gaze to your left fingertips. And then we're going to also lift that right leg. So we're balancing in this bird dog, half bird dog pose. We're just going to hold here. Find the breath. Feel that connection to the mat. Find your balance. When you feel good, bend into that right knee. Grab that right foot with your left hand. Left hand comes to the outside of that right foot. We're going to press up and away from the body. So you're letting that left shoulder pull back, really pressing into that left hand, up and away. You can bring your gaze downward for balance. And then slowly, gently, mindfully release everything to the mat. All right, we'll take this to the second side. Start by extending that left leg out long. And again, we're just gently rocking forward and backward on that left foot. Just kind of stretching through the calf and a little bit in the hamstring here. Just noticing what you feel. And when you're ready, you can slide that left foot over to the right. Look over your right shoulder at it. Feeling that connection in the side body, pressing that left hip over to the left. And then maybe walking your hands over toward the right if it feels good. Feel free to explore with this pose. Move your hands wherever you need to. Maintain that connection with all 5 toes of the left foot. Keep incorporating the breath. Stay connected. Take a couple more cycles of breath here. And then we'll bring the palms back under the shoulders. Slide that left foot back in line with that left hip. Lift the gaze, lift the right palm, extend that right arm forward in front of you. And then we're going to lift that left leg, left foot off the mat. So you're just balancing on the right shin and left palm here. Find your focus, find your balance, find your strength, find your resilience. And come back to your inner dialogue when poses get difficult and just notice where your thoughts go and how you talk to yourself. When you feel stable and grounded, bend into that left knee. We'll bring the right hand to the outside edge of that left foot. Finding your grip and then pressing up and away from the body. Find your focus, find your balance. Shift the gaze back downward toward the mat. And then we'll slowly, gently, mindfully release. Bring the big toes into touch, send the knees wide, and send the hips back toward the heels for an extended child's pose. We'll just be here for a minute, catch your breath, notice how you feel. Maybe roll side to side on the forehead. And we're going to walk the hands back in toward the body, nice and slow. No hurry. We're going to bring the knees together and just sit on the heels for a moment. And we're going to do our neck rotations. So bring your palms to the tops of the thighs. Find that long spine from the crown of your head to the tip of your tail. We'll tuck the chin and roll gently from left to right. Again, syncing up with your breath. Notice what you feel, what you hear. Explore new sensations in the neck. Maybe pulling the shoulders down away from the ears. Okay, we're gonna pause here, bring fingertips to the mat, and we're gonna come up onto our toes. So same thing, except we're in a toe stand. So take your time finding your balance. You can keep your palms on the tops of your thighs or bring your hands together at your heart and see if you can gently find those neck rotations here. If you fall out, that's okay. Just find your balance. Try to keep the knees in toward one another and just play. All right, we'll bring the fingertips to the mat. Walk the feet in towards one another. We're staying in this toe stand. We're going to try to keep the knees together. We're going to press up out of this toe stand, bringing palms together at the heart. And then we're going to slowly, gently come up to standing. So just extending through the knees, really using that quad strength to come all the way up, staying on the balls of the feet and the toes, not the heels. Heels are lifted. So once you get there, take your time. If you fall out, try again. Once you're there, we're going to try to go back down. Same thing, bending into the knees, staying up on the balls of the feet. And then find your balance, connect with your breath, and try that a few times. Remember, we're building resilience. We're embracing change, including change in perspective. And we're seeking and embracing transformation. Finding your balance. If you fall out, it's okay. Just try again. Come down, we'll go one more time. And then bring it back down to that toe stand. Release the fingertips to the mat, release the knees to the mat, and come back into that extended child's pose. Big toes come into touch, send the hips back, melt the chest and the forehead down toward the mat. Take a moment to catch your breath, and then we are going to really activate the Rajas by incorporating some intensity, some kinetic energy, and some mindful movement. Walk the hands in towards your body. We're going to come into our downward dog, first one of the day. So start by curling the toes under, externally rotating the hands on the mat, pressing the hips up toward the ceiling, and looking for that flat back in the upper body. If you're stiff in the lower body, let's start by walking out through the feet, so just bending into each knee one at a time, loosening up, warming up the hamstrings a little bit, or if you're ready, you can find stillness here. We'll be here for just a second, connecting with the hamstrings. From here, we're going to plant that left foot, lift that right leg up high. So we're really reaching toward the ceiling, getting long, pressing that left heel down toward the earth. And then we're going to bend into that right knee, lift the gaze to between the palms, and then we're going to plant that right foot between the palms. So from here, we're just going to lower that back knee, lead with the fingertips coming up and overhead for a low lunge, pressing the hips downward, sinking deeper, staying connected with the breath, and then bringing the fingertips down to frame that foot once again. We'll lift that back knee, keep the left palm planted, drag the right fingertips along the right leg up toward the ceiling, for your easy twist. Take a deep breath. On your exhale, bring the fingertips back to the mat. Frame that right foot. Send it back for plank. We're going to slowly lower to the belly and press up for a baby cobra, just for starters. Melt it back down, press back up to plank, and downward facing dog. All right, same thing on the second side. We'll plant that right foot, kick that left heel up high, really reaching toward the ceiling, getting long, and then lifting the gaze, bringing that left foot to between the hands, frame it, lower that right knee, extend those right toes, lead with the fingertips, find your low lunge, maybe with a little back bend here, pressing the hips down toward the mat. And then look down at your left foot. We'll frame it again with the hands. Curl the right toes under, lift that right knee. And then plant the right palm, find your easy twist on the second side. Just opening up, pulling that left shoulder back toward the ceiling. On your next exhale, look down at your left foot, cycle that left hand around, plant the palms, step that left foot back for plank, slowly lower to the belly. And once again, find your range in cobra. Don't force it, we're just getting started. Melt it back down, press up to plank, and downward facing dog. So take a moment in down dog, catch your breath. We're gonna move through those vinyasas a few more times. Remember to stay resilient, stay present, embrace change. We're here for transformation. Plant that left foot, lift that right leg up high, really reaching, lift your gaze. Plant that right foot between the palms. Keep that back knee lifted this time. We're gonna come up to your high lunge. So you're on the ball of the left foot, generous bend in that right knee, hands facing up toward the ceiling. You're just sinking down into the hips, bending into that right knee. Building strength in the lower body. Bring the fingertips back down to frame that right foot. Send that right foot back for plank. This time we're gonna lower halfway. We're gonna flip onto the tops of the toes for chaturanga. So it's pretty much the same as down dog, except your hips and the tops of your thighs are not touching the mat. You can also just, upward dog. You can also just do your cobra if you prefer to. So we'll do the same thing on the second side. You choose if you want to do vinyasa with upward dog or stay with the cobras. Plant that right foot, lift the left leg up high, really reaching. Same thing, lift the gaze. Plant that left foot between the palms. We're going to move into that high lunge, coming all the way up, palms overhead, fingertips reaching toward the ceiling or toward the sky, sinking deep into that left hip, left knee, building strength. Rain the fingertips down to frame that left foot. Send that left foot back for plank, and again, same thing. You can lower halfway, flip onto the tops of the feet, press up for upward dog instead of cobra. Or you can lower all the way to the belly, extend the toes, press up for cobra. Either way, we'll melt it back down, press up to plank, and downward facing dog. Take a moment, catch your breath, pedal through the feet if it feels good. Embracing that heat, that fire of Aries season. And one more time, we'll plant that left foot, kick that right leg up high. This time you're going to bend into the right knee and just drop it toward that left shoulder. Opening up through that right hip. Lift the gaze to between the palms and plant your right foot there. Get there how you get there. This time we'll angle that back foot, that left foot. Stay really bent in that right knee. Open up for warrior two on the left. So arms are really reaching, left shoulder pulls back, torso's facing the left edge of your mat, and there's about a 90-degree bend in that right knee. From here, drop that left hand to the back of the left thigh. Right hand comes up and over. Really reaching, big side body stretch. Let's extend through that right knee. Again, really reaching. We'll level out the shoulders, arms parallel to the floor. Sink back into the hips. So you're shifting the hips back toward the back left corner of your mat. Turning to face the front. We'll bring this right palm to the inside edge of the right leg. Left palm up toward the ceiling. Take a breath. Bring your gaze back down to the mat, and we'll cycle that left hand around. Frame that right foot. Send it back for plank. Find your chaturanga to upward dog or plank to cobra, whichever you prefer. And then send it up and back, downward dog. All right, same thing, second side, last one here. Lift that left leg up high. Bend into that left knee, drop that left heel toward the right shoulder. Shoulders are square. Lift the gaze, bring the sole of the left foot all the way through to between the palms. From here, pivot on the back foot. Right foot is at an angle toward the top right corner of the mat. So you're pressing kind of into the outside edge of the right foot here. Leading with the fingers, opening up, warrior two on the second side. Big bend in that left knee, really anchored into that right foot behind you. Opening up the arms wide. Pulling that right shoulder back. Find your strength, find your balance. Drop that right hand to the back of the right thigh. Left hand comes up and over, big stretch. Staying nice and bent in that left knee. One more breath and we'll extend through that left knee. Really reaching. And then lead with the left fingertips to level out the arms. They're parallel to the mat. We'll sink those hips back and toward the left corner of the mat. Bring that left palm to the inside edge of the left calf. Right palm toward the ceiling. Pulling that right shoulder back, staying connected to the side body, nice and open through the chest. And then shift your gaze down to the mat. Cycle that right arm all the way around. We'll frame that left foot. Send it back for plank. Find your vinyasa, so lowering to upward dog or cobra. Back to plank and downward dog. Once you get to your downward dog, we're going to lower the knees to the mat. Walk the hands a little further and a little wider. And lower the chest, forehead to the mat for your puppy pose. Take a few deep breaths here just to feel that heat. Welcome that fire of the Rajas in the Aries season. We're mentally, physically, spiritually preparing for a time of change and transformation. A few more deep breaths here. When you're ready, you can connect with the fingertips, the palms, walk the hands inward back to tabletop. We're going to cross at the ankles and come to a seated position. I'm going to center myself on the mat. We'll take a moment here just to find that long spine once again. Let's take a second just to bring palms together at the heart. Notice what we feel. And notice the breath. When you're ready, we can open the palms on the knees. We're just going to find a seated twist here. So we'll bring right hand to the top of the left knee, left hand behind us. Sit up, lift, twist. Pull that left shoulder back. Nice and open through the chest. Nice deep breaths. And when you're ready, gently, mindfully take it to the other side. Left hand comes to the top of right knee, right hand, right fingertips brace you. Pull that right shoulder back. Maybe look behind you to the right. And gently come back through center when you're ready. We're going to bring the knees in toward the chest and roll back to our backs. Keep the knees to your chest. You can either just hold them with your hands or wrap your arms around them. We're just going to feel that compression in the front of the hip. Rock gently from left to right. As we start to cool down, try to notice what your body is asking for, if anything. We'll have the opportunity to do some final movements before Shavasana. From here, bring your hands to the outside edges of the feet. Open up the knees to about 90 degrees. Pull those knees to the outside of the rib cage, toward the armpits, toward the shoulders. Heels toward the ceiling for a happy baby. If this is way too intense, you can also just bring your hands to the backs of the knees and pull the thighs inward toward the chest. Otherwise, if you're here in happy baby, feel free to explore. So you can kick the knees, you can rock gently left to right. You can also extend both knees for an added adductor stretch. Or just stay where you are, holding and incorporating the breath. Your breath is one of the most important and powerful tools of your practice, so always come back to it, be aware of it, observe it, connect with it. When you're ready, we'll extend that left leg out long, bring that left heel all the way down toward the mat. We're going to keep that right knee pulled in toward the chest. You can squeeze it with both arms. We're going to use the left hand to guide that right knee across the body, stacking the right hip on top of the left, bringing that right knee toward the floor, and then anchoring ourselves by pulling that right shoulder down toward the floor, opening up that right arm perpendicular to the body with the palm facing the ceiling. So remember, bring the breath, notice what you feel or what you hear in that torso twist. And when you're ready, we'll bring it back through center. And we'll move into the same thing on the other side. So you can extend that right leg long, bring that left knee in toward the chest. Extend that left arm perpendicular to the body. Guide that left knee across the body and toward the floor. You're really trying to keep that left shoulder pinned down toward the mat. Find the breath. Remember your intentions. And come back through center when you're ready. We're going to walk the feet wide, let the knees fall in toward one another. Just let them fall gently to the right and to the left. And then we'll walk the soles, or we'll walk the feet in toward one another just so they're in line with the hips. And then we're going to once again find our bridge pose, walking the shoulder blades underneath the heart space, pressing the hips up toward the ceiling. Maybe your range is different, maybe it's not. Just noticing, holding, connecting. And then when you're ready to lower, we're going to come back to that very first movement we did. So as you lower, roll onto the outside edges of your feet, let the knees fall apart, and we'll come back into our reclined butterfly, reclined cobbler's pose. Let the hands rest gently anywhere on the body. Come back to the breath. We'll take a few cycles of breath here. If your body's asking for any other movement, please feel free to explore that now. Coming back to your intention. Taking this time just for yourself. Let's let go of anything that's not serving you right now. We're just going to leave it on the mat. Extend that right leg out long, and then the left. And we'll open up that right palm toward the ceiling, and then the left. Get grounded, feel connected to the earth, supported by the mat. And then try to find stillness here for a few moments of meditation. Coming back to the breath. Noticing how you feel in the physical body, the emotional body, the intellectual body, and the spiritual body. Absorbing the nutrients of your practice. Just envision carrying out your intentions for today's practice through the rest of your week, or even just the rest of your day. Bring your awareness back to your toes, your feet, which did a lot of hard work today. Your ankles, your shins, your knees, and all the way through the body, just becoming aware of those sensations. Before we close this practice, I'd like to do a land acknowledgement. I am currently guiding this practice on unceded Monongahela, Osage, and Erie lands, so we recognize their sacrifices and how they've supported my ability to teach you this class today. We respect and honor them. We also respect and honor yoga as an ancient spiritual practice tied to the subcontinent of India. If it feels right, you can bring palms together to rest gently at the third eye. And just join me in closing the practice. Thank you so much for being part of my community today. Thank you for letting me lead you in this practice. I hope you got what you needed here today, and I hope to see you again soon. Namaste.